ladies, I have had a lady ask about some exercises that you can do to work on your balance. So I thought I'd go through just 3 exercises that you can do pretty much anywhere within reason. You might look a bit daft if you're sort of waiting in a queue in a shop, but certainly if you're at home, if you're waiting for the kettle to boil, something like that, then they're really good exercises that you can do to work on your balance. Okay, so the first exercise is our leg lifts. Now, what you want to think about with this one is keeping the pelvis level, because the idea is that we're working the core muscles. We're not using the lower back and we're not using the waist to lift the legs. It sort of strengthens around the hips as well. So you start with the feet about hip distance apart. Bring the hands to the hips, drop the shoulders. We want to think about lengthening through the legs, and then we want to imagine we've got this little belt here across our lower tummy, and we're just lightly drawing it. So we're not sucking the tummy in, we just have that awareness that there's something going on. We're then going to take the weight across onto one leg, and then keeping the length here, we bring the other leg up into our tabletop position, and then we bring the leg down. Okay, so if I do it and use my waist just to show you the difference, I don't know if you can see, but you sort of shorten on this side and this hip comes up. So you want to think about keeping the length through the spine. So as you come up, the length stays here, the length stays at the front, and the length stays at the waist. A lot of lengthening going on. So we're just keeping that position. And if you breathe out to lift, you can breathe into lower. And as you get better at controlling it, you could hold it here for a breath in, trying to keep the balance, and back down. So that's the first exercise. Don't worry if you wobble a bit. If you do wobble quite a lot and you struggle to control, what you could start off with is just lifting the leg but keeping a little bit of weight through the toe and keeping that control here, because it's much better to have good control at a lower level than go for the higher level and feel that you wobble too much. Okay, so the second exercise is just a bit of weight transference. So taking the feet maybe just slightly wider than hip distance, or about hip distance apart, and this time we're going to relax the shoulders down. I want you to think about growing tall through the spine, widening through those collarbones, and we're just going to start with a little sway. So we sway the weight down through one leg, and then we sway the weight to the other side. So if you imagine there's a little book or something, your favourite drink, balanced on your head, you want to make sure that you're not bending in the middle. So you're using the weight through the feet to transfer across. Then we do the same forwards and backwards. It's slightly harder forwards and backwards, so don't go too far. So the weight goes from the heels to the toes, and again we're watching that we're not bending forward, we're just transferring the weight. So it's a little sway. You might feel those tummy muscles kick in, and you might feel the glutes kick in to keep you in that good position. And then from there, we take it into a circle. So if you imagine you've got a very small hula hoop around your ankles, and you're trying to trace that hoop going around in a circle. Now your pelvis is going to want to do this, but I want you to try and keep your pelvis facing forward. So again, you're using the weight through the feet. Once you've done one way, you can go the other. And then come back. Now if your balance is good and you feel nice and confident with those exercises, you can do the same exercises I've just gone through with your eyes closed. But I will warn you that it is much harder, so be very careful. But doing the exercises with our eyes closed is really good, because we get a lot of information about our balance from our vision. So once we take our vision out of the equation, all the information about where we are in space is having to come from our muscles and from our joints, and it just works as that little bit harder. So that's a really good way of making it a little bit more challenging if and when you want to. So those are the first two. The last exercise I like to do, I call tightrope walking. No tightrope is involved, so don't worry. But it's basically walking in a straight line. So we're narrowing down our base of support, which makes it a little bit harder on our balance. So I'm going to show you a couple of different versions. So version 1 is slightly easier. Imagine you've got that tightrope in front of you. You're coming up tall through the spine again, wide through the collarbones, and you've got that drink or your book, whatever you want, balanced on your head that you don't want to drop. And then you're going to take your foot in front, so you're trying to line up the feet and you're going to walk in a straight line, trying to keep your balance. Nice and slow. And then from there, you can either turn around and go back, or if you want a bigger challenge, you could have a go at walking backwards on that tightrope. So that is level 1, okay? So you're walking in a straight line. Level 2 is the same, but you might have noticed with the first level that there was a gap between my feet, which gave me slightly bigger base of support. The next one we're going to do, you're going to have your heel to your toe, so it makes it much harder to do. So level 2, it's heel to toe. Same exercise. Trying to keep, whoops, I've gone, see, it's much harder. In that straight line. And again, if you're going backwards, it's toe to heel as you come back. And it is quite challenging. So I would say out of all of those exercises that I've gone through, that one is definitely the hardest. So you can work your way up or do little bits. But balance is one of those things that's the best way to improve it is to test it and to use it. Obviously within reason. I don't want anybody falling over, so make sure you're safe while you're doing these exercises. And you can always do them to start off with sort of holding onto a chair. Certainly the first couple you could hold on to a chair that's not going to move, or the worktop in your kitchen is quite a good height as well. So as long as you don't feel like you're going to slip over, that is a nice height to sort of hold on to. So that's 3 exercises that you can do to work on your balance. So the first one was our leg lifts. The second one was our swaying side to side and going around in that circular movement. And the last one was our tightrope walking. So hopefully that is helpful. Hopefully that will get you started, and I look forward to seeing you again really soon.